The year is 1914. Imagine Europe. Not the Europe of today, but a continent on the brink of disaster. A continent simmering with tension. Old empires, heavy with history, cast long shadows across the map. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, a patchwork of nationalities, strained at its seams. The Ottoman Empire, once mighty, was now the sick man of Europe. Germany, newly unified and ambitious, rattled its saber. France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, yearned for revenge. Great Britain, the world's dominant power, watched nervously as the balance of power shifted. Nationalism, a potent and often dangerous force, surged through the continent. It fueled dreams of independence and stoked the fires of ethnic rivalry. The stage was set for a catastrophe. In the years leading up to 1914, Europe had become a tangled web of alliances. The great powers of Europe had formed themselves into two armed camps, the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy stood together in the Triple Alliance. On the other side of the divide stood the Triple Entente, France, Russia, and Great Britain. Each alliance promised support to its members in case of attack. This system of interlocking alliances, meant to preserve the peace, would instead prove to be a hair-trigger for war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, would provide the spark. The Triple Alliance was not such a partnership built on mutual affection. It was an alliance born of necessity and driven by pragmatism. Germany, under the leadership of Kaiser Wilhelm II, was eager to assert its dominance on the world stage. Austria-Hungary, a sprawling empire struggling to contain its internal divisions, saw in Germany a powerful protector. The Habsburg rulers, facing rising nationalism within their borders, feared for the future of their dynasty. Italy, the third member of the Triple Alliance, had its own motivations. Recently unified, Italy still felt like the odd man out among the great powers of Europe. It harbored ambitions of restoring the Roman Empire's lost glory. However, deep down, Italy coveted territory held by Austria-Hungary. Their loyalty to the alliance was paper-thin, destined to evaporate the moment a more advantageous opportunity presented itself. The ink on the Triple Alliance documents was barely dry before it began to sow the seeds of mistrust and animosity across Europe. Germany's rapid industrialization and military buildup, fueled by the Kaiser's aggressive foreign policy, sent shockwaves through the continent. Great Britain, long accustomed to its role as the world's dominant naval power, watched with growing anxiety as Germany expanded its fleet. France, still bitter from its humiliating defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, saw Germany as an existential threat. The loss of Alsace-Lorraine, rich in resources and national pride, stung deeply in the French psyche. Revanchism, the desire to reclaim their lost provinces, became a powerful force in French politics. The stage was set for a dangerous game of diplomatic chess, with each move bringing the continent closer to the brink. The Triple Entente, unlike the Triple Alliance, was not a formal military pact. It began as a series of agreements, each one a reaction to Germany's growing assertiveness on the world stage. The first piece of this diplomatic puzzle fell into place with the signing of the Entente Cordiale in 1904. This agreement between Great Britain and France settled a number of colonial disputes. Russia, ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, was also drawn into the fold. The Anglo-Russian Convention of 1907 completed the triangle. Europe was divided into two armed camps, each suspicious of the other, each haunted by the specter of war. The powder keg of European tensions was primed for detonation. All it needed was a spark. That spark came on a sunny June day in 1914. In Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was making a state visit. As the Archduke's motorcade made its way through the crowded streets, a young Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip seized his opportunity. Shots rang out, echoing through the stunned city. Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, were mortally wounded. The assassination sent shockwaves across Europe. The murder of the heir apparent was not just a crime, it was an act of war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand unleashed a chain of events that quickly spiraled out of control. The month that followed, known as the July Crisis, was a whirlwind of diplomatic blunders, miscalculations, and ultimatums. Austria-Hungary, backed by its powerful ally Germany, saw an opportunity to crush Serbian nationalism once and for all. They issued Serbia with a harsh ultimatum, demanding impossible concessions. Serbia, caught between a rock and a hard place, appealed to Russia for help. Russia, bound by treaty and sentiment to protect Serbia, began to mobilize its troops. Germany, fearing a Russian attack, issued its own ultimatums, demanding that Russia stand down and France declare its neutrality. Europe was on the brink of a continental war, and no one seemed able to stop it. In the wake of the Archduke's assassination, all eyes turned to Berlin. Austria-Hungary, eager for revenge, looked to its powerful ally for support. Kaiser Wilhelm II Kwarswardigit, deeply shocked by the assassination of his Austrian counterpart, was eager to stand by his ally. He assured Austria-Hungary of Germany's unwavering support, a pledge that would become known as the blank check. This fateful assurance, given without conditions or limitations, effectively gave Austria-Hungary free rein to deal with Serbia as it saw fit. The Kaiser and his advisors believed that Russia, beset by internal problems, would back down rather than risk a war with Germany. This belief, based on a combination of wishful thinking and a fundamental misunderstanding of Russia's resolve, proved to be a fatal miscalculation. The fuse was lit. The leaders of Europe, blinded by nationalism, arrogance, and a dangerous faith in their own military strength, stumbled toward the abyss. Germany's leaders, convinced of their own invincibility, failed to grasp the potential consequences of their actions. They underestimated Russia's willingness to fight for Serbia, believing that the Tsar would back down in the face of German might. They also misjudged Great Britain's commitment to maintaining the balance of power in Europe. These calculations, born of hubris and a fundamental misunderstanding of the complex web of alliances and rivalries, would have catastrophic consequences. With the rejection of Austria-Hungary's ultimatum, the wheels of war were set in motion. Austria-Hungary, emboldened by Germany's blank check, declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. Russia, true to its word, mobilized its vast army in support of Serbia. Germany, interpreting this mobilization as an act of aggression, declared war on Russia on August 1st. France, bound by treaty to Russia, began its own mobilization, prompting Germany to declare war on France on August 3rd. The intricate network of alliances designed to prevent war had instead become a noose, tightening around the neck of Europe. The guns of August had begun to roar. The declarations of war came in quick succession, like a row of dominoes falling one after another. What had begun as a regional conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia had exploded into a continental war. Germany, fearing a two-front war against Russia and France, had activated the Schlieffen Plan, a military strategy years in the making. This plan called for a lightning-fast attack through neutral Belgium, encircling the French army and knocking France out of the war before Russia could fully mobilize its forces. The invasion of Belgium, a violation of international law, brought Great Britain into the conflict. The great powers of Europe, armed with industrial might and fueled by nationalist fervor, were now locked in a death struggle. The Schlieffen Plan, for all its intricate detail and meticulous planning, was a gamble. It relied on speed, surprise, and a healthy dose of luck. The German army, confident in its training and equipment, surged through Belgium, meeting fierce resistance from the Belgian army. The Belgian defense, though valiant, was no match for the German war machine. The delay, though seemingly insignificant, would have profound consequences. In the summer of 1914, as the armies of Europe marched off to war, a wave of patriotic fervor swept across the continent. Young men eager for adventure and intoxicated by nationalist propaganda flocked to the recruiting stations. They believed, as did many of their leaders, that the war would be short, a glorious adventure that would be over by Christmas. This belief, fueled by a potent mix of nationalism, romanticism, and a fundamental misunderstanding of the realities of modern warfare, would prove to be a tragic illusion. The first battles of the war, fought in the fields of Belgium and France, were a rude awakening. The horrors of modern warfare, with its machine guns, artillery barrages, and poison gas, shattered the illusions of a generation. The world had entered a new and terrifying era. Looking back on the events of July 1914, it's easy to see the road to war as an inevitable tragedy. But history, unlike theater, is not preordained. Choices were made, miscalculations compounded, and a continent allowed itself to be consumed by the flames of war. The system of alliances, designed to maintain a delicate balance of power, instead became a hair trigger, transforming a regional crisis into a global conflagration. Germany's blank check to Austria-Hungary, offered with a misplaced faith in their own strength, proved to be a fatal error. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand became the catalyst for a wider catastrophe. Ultimatums were issued, mobilizations ordered, and within a matter of weeks, the guns of August were thundering across Europe. The world that emerged from the ashes of World War I was a world forever changed. The old empires, the Habsburgs, the Romanovs, the Ottomans, lay in ruins, swept away by the tides of war and revolution. The political map of Europe, redrawn by the victors, would prove to be a source of both hope and future conflict. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to ensure a lasting peace, instead sowed the seeds of resentment and instability that would contribute to the outbreak of World War II, just 2 decades later. The war also had a profound impact on the social, cultural, and technological landscape of the 20th century. It shattered the old order, challenged long-held beliefs, and ushered in an era of uncertainty and anxiety. The war's legacy, a complex tapestry of triumph and tragedy, continues to shape our world today. The lessons of 1914, the dangers of unchecked nationalism, the importance of diplomacy, and the devastating consequences of miscalculation remain as relevant as ever. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, we would do well to remember the words of historian Barbara Tuchman, who wrote that the First World War was a seminal catastrophe. It was the event that did more to shape the world we live in, for good or ill, than any other.